Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Chris, let's just start where it's the biggest question in New Orleans, as it is in so many places, but I want to start by talking about quarterback. Who were the winners at the quarterback position coming out of the combine?
Probably first was Malik Willis, just in that draft guys like myself that do this year-round had watched him and knew he was talented, very talented. The fact that he was able to show some of those 75-yard bombs in prime time in front of everyone, that certainly helped. And Desmond Ritter from Cincinnati, the fact that he 6'3", 220 pounds, and then tested almost like a wide receiver. That was kind of the chatter in Indianapolis, was that you could put him at wide receiver and he would be one of the more athletic wide receivers in this draft class. It's a very good wide receiver class. So those two, more than anyone else, I think, left the combine with stock up. You could even throw Sam Howell in there as well. It felt like the chatter surrounding Sam Howell was the fact that, look, he wasn't as good in 2021, but it was really mostly just due to losing all the NFL talent that he had off that team from 2020. The talent is still there with him. He's got a big arm. He was very tough. He stuck with it. He didn't transfer. He didn't shut it down. He played in the bowl game. I think teams like that about him. So maybe not necessarily on the field at the combine for him, but it just felt like a more positive reputation than I was expecting for someone that was billed as a potential number one overall pick that did have somewhat of a disappointing 2021.
Is there a feeling that that the Saints, if they go quarterback at 18, who the choice would be?
I wish I could give you a straight answer on that. Among the people I've talked to, the Saints at number 18 seem like one of the biggest mysteries in the first round, and certainly through free agency, we'll get a little bit more clarity, or maybe a lot more clarity. Maybe if they sign Jameis Winston, that I think would be the utmost bargain based on what we're seeing happening on the veteran free agent and trade market right now. If they do that, obviously that would take them out of consideration for a quarterback. But even asking about other positions and just being an evaluator myself, it was hard. It's difficult right now to peg, hey, they need a corner. Do they go offensive line with Teron Armstead being a free agent? Do they add more youth to the secondary? Do they get Michael Thomas a compliment at wide receiver? What do they do in round one? I think most people were thinking quarterback, and maybe Matt Corral kind of running that RPO style, the Lane Kiffin offense, would make sense at 18. But there was really no one quarterback that seems like, oh, this is definitely going to be the Saints guy.
If you ask fans around here, the consensus is going to be at 18. They have to go wide receiver. They were so bad at that spot a year ago. So how big of a gap is there among the receivers that are in contention to be on the board there at 18 if the Saints go that direction?
There's not a big gap. What I really like about this wide receiver group that's kind of being touted as one of the best that we've seen in a while, when we really look back, it seems like almost every year now, just because of how college is, it's a great wide receiver class. Last year in 2020, 2019, what I like about it is that there's not a clear-cut top. The elite group that we had last year with Jamar Chase and the two Alabama receivers, it's all quality number one wideout types, from the Ohio State receivers to Drake London to Traylon Burks. I think Sky Moore from Western Michigan kind of put his name inside the first round conversation. Jahan Dawson from Penn State feels like right at around pick 10 to maybe pick 30 or 40, there's going to be 4 to 6 receivers go off the board that a lot of teams have graded pretty similarly. So if the Saints do address quarterback before that, and they pick Garrett Wilson, or they pick Traylon Burks, or they stay big and go Drake London from USC or Jahan Dawson to add another speed element to the offense, no one would really fault them for that, and they're going to get someone that is a top-level prospect that in other drafts probably would have been picked a little bit higher.
Is there receiver value in the middle of round 2?
Yes, 100%. I think that wide receiver is a big need for the Saints, and I would certainly applaud them for going in that direction, especially if they address quarterback. But if they decide to wait and they just go best player available, or they address something on defense or offensive line, if they like someone, I would be fine with that because of the depth. Like I mentioned, Sky Moore, there's Khalil Shakir from Boise State, Alec Pierce from Cincinnati, who had a huge combine, Christian Watson, 6'4", ran sub 4.4, jumped over 11 feet in the broad jump, which is a crazy number for a wide receiver. There will also be 4 to 6 receivers picked in round 2, probably relatively early in the first 20 picks of round 2, that I think a handful of them will become quality players. And that's kind of been the range, the trendy range for wide receivers with Deebo Samuel and DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown. A lot of these wide receivers that ultimately become good were picked on day 2 of the draft in round 2.
Chris Trapasso is with us for a couple more minutes talking some NFL draft. See his stuff over there at cbssports.com. One of the other things that has become a big talking point here is running back. Alvin Kamara obviously has his off-the-field issues right now, but also, Chris, they've been better when they've been able to pair someone with Kamara. So maybe a middle-round option somewhere in that 3rd, 4th round range. What type of prospect are we talking about that might be available to the Saints in the middle rounds at running back?
Well, I think the guy that would be a complement to Alvin Kamara and then could ultimately replace him, and then if we're assuming that Pete Carmichael is going to run somewhat of a similar offense or the exact same offense to Sean Payton, that they're going to prioritize how good of a receiver their running backs are in the screen game. I think there's a chance in the 3rd round Isaiah Spiller from Texas A&M could still be there. It feels like Breece Hall and Ken Walker are going to go somewhere in round 2. I don't think either of them are going to sneak into the 1st, but Isaiah Spiller didn't run at the combine. I don't think he's going to have as much buzz entering the draft process. If those guys are ultimately not available, there's a bunch of other quality pass catchers in this draft class. Rashad White is a name to remember from Arizona State. Caught a bunch of passes for the Sun Devils. And I thought actually did his best work and was the most productive in the screen game. He's very slippery. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Alvin Kamara. Tested a lot better than people thought. There will be a bunch. That's kind of the range for the best value at running back. 4th, 5th, maybe even into the 6th round, where the Saints could get someone that, like I mentioned, can be that number 2, a clear-cut number 2 to Kamara, and then maybe never be a 250 carry or even 200 carry running back, but also catch 30 to 40 to 50 passes a season to really be that versatile weapon in the Saints offense.
Hey, Chris, last thing. When you look at the Saints' needs in this draft, quarterback is one, obviously depending on what they do in free agency, but how do you rate what their needs are if you were listing them?
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely quarterback. Wide receiver to me is huge. I don't think that can be overstated, just looking at the landscape of today's NFL, that you have Michael Thomas finally coming back. That will be obviously a huge boost to the offense. But it's like since Michael Thomas has been hurt, the league has become a 3 wide receiver league where teams are absolutely loading up at that position. The future of Teron Armstead is certainly enormous. That's the elephant in the room. If he leads in free agency, you have, to me, a decent-sized hole at the left tackle position, so I'd put that next. And probably somewhere on the inside. I would like to see more of them, or them picking someone that's more of a interior pass rusher than someone that's just going to eat blocks. I know they have Marcus Davenport. They have Cam Jordan, who's getting up there in age, but is seemingly never aging, right. Still super productive. To have someone that can draw a lot of attention on the inside after they've moved on, for multiple years from Sheldon Rankin, that would bode well and just be a huge boost on the defensive side, because the best Saints defenses we've seen are not just the ones that have good playmaking secondary members. It's when they can really create a pass rush with not just their stars on the outside.
Great stuff as always. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Chris Trapasso. Read his stuff as well. I mean, we appreciate the time. We'll visit again soon.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Anytime.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.